The Boston Celtics stand at a crossroads few could have predicted just months ago. The franchise has been a whirlwind of moves this summer, slicing through contracts, reshaping the payroll, and maneuvering around one of the most punishing salary cap traps in league history. Every transaction has been calculated, every departure painful yet necessary. And now the next decision could define how Boston navigates a season shadowed by the unexpected loss of Jayson Tatum. The Achilles injury that will sideline Tatum until the following year has forced Brad Stevens to confront a reality where the team's ceiling shifts. Some would retreat, lower expectations, and quietly endure a transitional year. But Boston's DNA is not built for passivity, with Jaylen Brown still capable of carrying the offensive load. Derek White continuing to thrive as one of the most intelligent two-way guards in the league, and the offensive firepower of Anfernee Simons ready to inject life into the backcourt. This is not a roster resigned to mediocrity. The Eastern Conference, stripped of its former depth and unpredictability, presents a rare opportunity for a retooled Celtics to remain a playoff presence. Despite adversity, however, the roster's current structure carries an inefficiency that could become the pivot point of the entire season. Boston's frontcourt, though crowded, lacks the fluid defensive versatility required to survive in the modern NBA. This is why Stevens must consider an uncomfortable but necessary move, parting ways with Xavier Tillman Sr. to create room for one of the most intriguing free agents still available, Ben Simmons. On paper, it is a chess move that challenges conventional thinking. Simmons' name still polarizes the basketball world, but remove the narratives and you find a 6'10" player with the size to guard centers, the agility to stay with wings, and the vision to operate as an unconventional playmaker. In a league where switching defenses dominate the postseason and matchups can decide entire series, Simmons is a rare piece that fits into Joe Mazzulla's defensive ideals. The current roster math makes it clear, after the addition of Chris Boucher, the Celtics now have 14 guaranteed contracts plus two-way players Max Shulga, Miles Norris, and Reggie Lewis Jr., while rookie Amari Williams remains unsigned. Unless Boston opts for a minimum salary end-of-bench project, there is no open slot for Simmons. The path to him runs directly through Tillman's departure. At 26 years old, Tillman is on a contract worth just $2,500,000 for the upcoming season, a figure that is easily movable. His defensive instincts are admirable, but the arrival of Boucher and Luka Garza, along with Neemias Queta's presence and the potential of Amari Williams, creates a front-court bottleneck that leaves Tillman on the outside looking in. In moving, Tillman is minimal, but the reward could be transformative. Simmons, despite his offensive limitations, offers something this roster sorely needs in the wake of Tatum's absence: the ability to disrupt the rhythm of elite offenses, while keeping Boston's pace unpredictable. Surrounded by floor spacers like Simons, White Pritchard, and Sam Hauser, his lack of shooting becomes less damaging, allowing him to operate as a facilitator in short bursts, attacking mismatches and generating open looks for shooters. Financially, the gamble is low cost. A one-year, team-friendly deal would align perfectly with the Celtics' current cycle. There is no need to think about long-term implications, no expectation that Simmons returns to his all-star form overnight. The goal would be targeted contribution, maximizing specific matchups, and injecting an element of unpredictability that could tilt close games in Boston's favor. The window to act is narrow. Other teams monitoring Simmons' situation may soon make their move, and Boston's front office cannot afford hesitation if they see the value. The right role, clear communication, and a system tailored to his strengths, Simmons could become not just a stopgap, but a weapon that redefines how the Celtics approach this unique season. Stevens has already shown a willingness to defy expectations in pursuit of roster balance. This decision, though it may seem small in the grand scheme, would be the final adjustment that keeps Boston dangerous when so many are ready to write them off. The opportunity is there, pieces can be moved, and the impact could ripple far. Beyond what the box score will show, the only question is whether the Celtics are ready to take it. When a voice from the past speaks, the basketball world still listens, and few voices carry as much historical weight as that of Bob Cousy. At 97 years old, the six-time NBA champion and Hall of Famer come and go, and dynasties either cement their place in history or fade into obscurity. Now, in a candid conversation with the Boston Globe, he has offered a perspective on Jaylen Brown that is stirring a mix of surprise and curiosity among Celtics supporters. According to Cousy, Brown is not the type of player who can single-handedly lead Boston to the summit. For some, such a statement sounds almost heretical, but for others, it forces a deeper question. Could a team fresh off a championship still be standing on the brink of a reinvention that no one saw coming? Cousy's words have a particular sting because they do not come from a casual observer, but from someone who knows exactly what it takes. To lift the trophy in June, he played in an era where the Celtics defined dominance, where banners were not dreams but expectations. He was a 13-time All-Star, an 8-time league leader in assists, and a 10-time All-NBA first-team selection between 1950 and 1963. His basketball mind is as sharp as ever, and when he says Boston may face a significant rebuilding effort, the comment does not come lightly, but context matters. This is not a team clinging to memories. Just last season, Brown earned Finals MVP honors, breaking a championship drought that many thought would stretch further into the future. In a 5-game series that tested every ounce of grit, Brown delivered 20.8 points, 5.4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.6 steals per game, shooting 44% from the field. Those numbers came in a finals where his co-star, Jayson Tatum, struggled with efficiency, hitting just 38.8% of his shots, despite still contributing 22.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 7.2 assists per contest. So, why would Cousy, who understands greatness better than most, suggest that Brown cannot be the one to lead the next era? This is where the intrigue begins. It is not about doubting Brown's skill set, work ethic, or competitive spirit. It is about the shifting tectonic plates beneath the roster itself. The offseason has been a quiet earthquake for Boston. Al Horford will not return, and financial maneuvers have seen Kristaps, Porzingis, and Drew Holiday moved out of the lineup. The ripple effects are clear. Anfernee Simons, Sam Hauser, and Neemias Queta are now positioned to take on starting roles. This is a very different configuration, one that requires a new hierarchy to emerge on the floor. The true question is not whether Brown can play at an elite level. He already has. The question is whether this specific version of the Celtics can provide the structural support for his leadership to translate into another title run. Even the most gifted players in NBA history have needed the right constellation of teammates and system around them to win consistently. The current NBA landscape is unforgiving. The number of players who could step into Brown's role under these circumstances and keep Boston in title contention is vanishingly small. There is also the factor of health, often the silent architect of an NBA season's success or failure. Brown underwent arthroscopic surgery on his right knee in June, a procedure that inevitably altered his off-season training rhythm. While all reports suggest he is on track to be ready, no one truly knows how a player will respond until the grind of the season begins. That uncertainty, combined with the roster shifts, forms the undercurrent of Cousy's perspective. However, there is a different way to interpret this moment, one that leans into hope rather than concern. Change has always been part of Boston's DNA. Every era that produced a banner began with questions, doubts, and moments where the path forward seemed unclear. The beauty of this franchise is that it often finds its next defining identity in very seasons where outsiders think the light is dimming. If the Celtics are indeed entering a period of reinvention, then it could be the prelude to another unexpected surge, the kind that rewrites narratives and adds chapters to a legacy that already towers over the league. Brown has already shown that he thrives when the stakes are highest. If he channels that same finals-level intensity into a full regular season, while integrating new teammates into a cohesive unit, the Celtics could emerge not weaker, but more unpredictable. And unpredictability, in the cutthroat world of the NBA, can be a weapon. Opponents prepare for patterns. They are thrown off balance by teams that refuse to fit into a single mold. That might be exactly where Boston is heading. Cousy's remarks, whether intentionally or not, have set the stage for one of the most fascinating storylines of the upcoming season. Will Brown embrace the role of not just a co-star, but the focal point of an evolving roster? Will this restructured Celtics squad surprise the league with a different style of dominance? The answers will come soon enough. In the process, they might just prove that in Boston, the promise of another banner is never too far away. The Boston Celtics find themselves in an offseason that feels less like routine housekeeping and more like a chess match played on a cliff edge. Every move carries weight, not only in the standings, but in the financial balance sheet, and the stakes are being amplified by both injuries and the pressure of a luxury tax bill that could reshape the roster. With Jayson Tatum working his way back to full form, and the front office juggling long-term vision with immediate needs, the conversation inside the walls of TD Garden is far from ordinary. One of the most intriguing names in this mix is the newly acquired Anfernee Simons, a player whose presence in Boston could be fleeting before he even takes his first official dribble in green. Reports from respected insiders like Brian Robb suggest that if avoiding the luxury tax threshold becomes a priority, Simons could be the first domino to fall. This is not about a lack of talent. It is about the cold arithmetic of roster construction when ambition meets financial boundaries. The Memphis Grizzlies could emerge as the most logical partner if Boston decides to flip Simons quickly. Not only do they have the contracts to make a deal possible, they also have a player who fits an interesting niche for Boston's needs, Brandon Clarke. Clarke's name has surfaced in multiple discussions, including on the First to the Floor podcast, where analysts debated whether the Celtics should part with a valuable first-round pick in the year 2027 to bring him in. The opinions were split. Some argued that Clarke is not the kind of needle-moving player worth sacrificing a distant first-rounder, while others saw his athleticism and proven production as exactly the kind of insurance Boston could use in a season full of uncertainty. Clarke is under contract for 4 more years, a rare blend of stability and flexibility, and his addition could provide the kind of depth that pays dividends deep into the spring. Of course, a straight swap between Simons and Clarke does not fit the league's financial rules, which is why more creative constructions have surfaced. One proposal would send Simons to Memphis in exchange for Clarke, Vince Williams Jr., and John Conchar, giving Boston not only a front-court boost, but also movable contracts and immediate salary relief to the tune of approximately $6,700,000. The catch is that Boston would still need to waive someone to open a roster spot, a small but notable complication in the equation. From Boston's perspective, Clarke would add a versatile high-motor presence in the paint. Williams Jr. could be the under-the-radar swingman who blossoms in the right system, and Conchar would offer steady shooting and glue-guy value. For Memphis, Simons would inject instant scoring to help offset the loss of Desmond Bane, who recently headed to the Orlando Magic. While keeping their competitive window open, the real question is not whether this trade makes sense on paper, but whether it aligns with the Celtics' broader vision. In a season where Tatum's health casts a shadow and every draft asset could be crucial for a blockbuster move down the line, sacrificing a first-round pick feels like a deliberate gamble. Brad Stevens has built a reputation on patience and precision, and while this deal could address multiple needs at once, it would also commit Boston to a path that reduces future flexibility. There is also the elephant in the room, Clarke's own injury history. While his athleticism and energy are undeniable, his availability could determine whether this move becomes a masterstroke or a misstep. The Celtics are navigating a moment where every decision could be the spark that ignites a championship push, or the miscalculation that stalls momentum. This is why the Simons situation is more than just another off-season rumor. It is a case study in how the Celtics balance immediate upgrades against the need to protect the arsenal for future opportunities. If they pulled the trigger, could be the prelude to a larger series of moves that position Boston as both financially flexible and competitively dangerous. If they wait, they might find that holding on to Simons, even briefly, opens doors they cannot yet see. Either way, the next few weeks could quietly set the tone for the entire season and maybe even the next era of Celtics basketball. Front office is standing at a fork in the road, and the choice they make will tell us just how aggressive they are willing to be in the pursuit of banner number 18. Jayson Tatum's recovery remains wrapped in silence, but the whispers from behind the scenes paint a picture that could reshape the Celtics' entire next chapter. There has been no official medical update, yet the sight of Boston's cornerstone, moving without visible discomfort in 2 separate public appearances this week, has sent a quiet surge of optimism through the city. On Wednesday, he was spotted at the Patriots training camp. Then the very next day, he stood alongside head coach Joe Mazzulla at the opening of a new early education center. For a man just months removed from surgery on a torn Achilles tendon, suffered during the playoff battle on the 12th of May, those steps were far more than symbolic. Celtics president Rich Gotharon, who has closely monitored the recovery process, hinted at the significance of what he had seen. The transformation from hobbling in a medical boot to walking freely is not just physical progress. It is a signal that the grueling rehabilitation schedule is yielding results ahead of quiet expectations. Gotham refused to fuel speculation about an early return, but his choice of words was telling. He reminded reporters that Tatum will do everything within his power to push the team into a position where that decision could even be on the table. For Celtics fans, that is the kind of determination that changes the trajectory of a season. But the intrigue does not end with Tatum's condition. Off the court, Boston's front office has been making moves that, at first glance, appear purely financial, yet may hide a deeper competitive strategy. By sending Georgia's Niang to Utah, the team sliced nearly $50 million from its luxury tax bill. Financial flexibility in the NBA is not just about saving money, it is about creating space to act when the perfect opportunity emerges. With Chris Boucher's deal soon to be finalized, Boston will sit just over $12 million above the tax line, a figure that could be erased through 1 or 2 surgical transactions. 2 scenarios are quietly circulating among salary cap experts. The first would see sharpshooter Sam Hauser's $10 million salary moved before the trade deadline, combined with minimal salary swaps to balance the books. The second is far more explosive. Trading Anfernee Simons and his $27.7 million contract to a team well under the first apron could slash the payroll to safety, with the receiving team only needing to send back $19.2 million in salary. Each path comes with different implications, but both could leave Boston not only under the tax threshold, but also armed with maneuverability to strike late-season roster upgrades amid these chess moves. The franchise has secured a critical piece of stability. Matsula's multi-year extension is not just a reward for performance, it is a strategic anchor. In a league where coaching turnover can rattle locker rooms, Boston's players, especially Tatum and Jaylen Brown, know exactly who is steering the ship. That level of trust cannot be bought, yet it can become the foundation for championship resilience. And then there is the ambition stretching beyond the NBA. Minority owner Steve Pagliucas pushed to acquire the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA, and relocate the franchise to Boston has gathered high-profile support, including that of Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey. The vision is bold, placing Boston as a dual stage for both men's and women's professional basketball at the highest level. With the next wave of WNBA expansion not expected until at least the year 2033, waiting could mean losing a once-in-a-decade opportunity. The move would not just bring another team to the city, it would deepen Boston's status as one of the sport's global capitals. In this moment, the Celtics find themselves balancing on a unique edge. The return of their franchise player remains uncertain, yet glimpses of his progress fuel a belief that the timeline could surprise even the most cautious observers. The front office is navigating the fine line between financial discipline and roster readiness, holding the flexibility to act decisively when the season's story demands it. Their head coach has both security and the unwavering trust of his stars. Their ownership is exploring a leap that could expand Boston's basketball influence far beyond the NBA. This is not the kind of summer that screams for attention with blockbuster trades or dramatic headlines, but it may be the kind that quietly sets the stage for something unforgettable. In Boston, patience is rarely just patience, it is often preparation. And the pieces being positioned now suggest that when the moment comes, the Celtics will be ready to strike.